Welcome to the Get Inspired with Gerd show, brought to you by Gerd's Handel. Join us each week to be inspired, informed and uplifted with some of the most inspirational and motivational guests from around the world. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay inspired.
Hello and welcome to Get Inspired with Gerds. I'm your host and today I have a stunning guest with me who is changing many lives through something called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's also called tapping. This is really powerful stuff, guys. I personally have tried this myself. It's helped me to kind of eliminate a lot of emotional or kind of stressful baggage that even when you've self-healed yourself from the past, there's always something that we need to kind of work on and heal within our future and as we're living in the present as well. Anyhow, this lady is just unbelievable. She was recently at Burning Man where she was tapping in front of 2,000 people. She's just an absolute sensational person. I personally met her when she was in London. I remember feeling these emotions after I did the tapping, and it's really helped me as well. And I want you guys to learn from this as well because it really is powerful stuff. Sophia has transformed not only her life around, she's helping thousands of people to reduce and eliminate any kind of stresses or emotions that are holding them back. And she's now currently hosting the first ever World Tapping Circle. Sonya, it's an absolute pleasure having you on my radio show, and thank you for joining me.
I'm so happy to be here with you again, Gerds. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, bless you. No, it's a blessing to me because you've helped me so much. You might not realise this, but when me and Jess had you last on the show, I just started to embrace tapping and started to see life in a different way. So anytime I've ever got angry now, I just kind of just tap, tap, tap. And it goes.
Oh, that delights me. I hope more people who hear this take it to heart like you did.
Bless you. Well, that's why I love to know about, where you were in your life before so the listeners can understand what your life was like before you basically self-healed yourself.
Yeah. Well, I was sort of a typical single mom in a lot of ways. Started pretty young, had my daughter at 22, and that put a lot of pressure on me to grow up and to try to get things right. I came from a very kind of religious background, so I had a lot of pressure about perfectionism and being perfect for God and guilt and God's watching, and that compounded my situation. And I found that over time I just got kind of stiffer and stiffer inside and more self-critical, more self-judgmental, and more tense. And over a long period of time, I experienced kind of the neuroses that I think we all have, but they got more and more exaggerated until I sort of had a nervous breakdown. I had suicidal thoughts. My life felt like the same humdrum work day, and I was waking up going, if this is all there is to life, I don't want to be here. And I think there's a lot of people who are working and raising kids that feel lackluster and sometimes get depressed, deeply depressed, and I was. And I've been battling depression for years, like seriously in bed 4 or 5 days a week, sleeping 12 hours a day, trying to get my head together. And in my quest to heal myself, which I had tried so many things, and they were all useful in different ways, yoga, meditation, dance, different therapies, different shamanistic healing modalities, diets, cleanses. Those were all useful to some degree, but they didn't get to the root of what was happening inside my head and thus what was limiting me in the world, in my relationships, in my capacity to earn, and even my capacity to feel joy, in parenting, which is a beautiful thing if you can be open to it, And I ended up having a nervous breakdown after another failed relationship. And in that moment, a friend reached out to me who had just learned tapping, sort of a very basic introduction weekend that she'd had. And she came over to practice on me, and I was too broken down to resist. I wasn't answering the phone. I wasn't returning emails. She was worried, and I wasn't going out of the house. And so she came over and said, I want to try this thing that I just learned. And she wrote some things down, asked me some questions, wrote some things down, tapped on me because I was too floppy to even care and try.
Wow.
And all I remember about that session was a big blur. I cried a lot. And at the end of it, I felt like I'd had a year's worth of therapy. I felt I was laughing and smiling. I didn't think I would laugh or smile for a year.
Wow.
It was a very dark moment in my life that radically shifted instantly. And the only thing I could think was, I have to do more of this. And I sure wish I was smart enough to learn to do this. Wow. And that's where my self-esteem was at the time. A month later, we'd done 4 more sessions. I traded with her because I was so broke I couldn't give her any money. And she wasn't a professional anyway. And 4 hours of tapping later, and my life was radically changed forever. And I set out to learn how to do this and to give it to everyone, because I realized that everything I was suffering with was everything that we were all suffering with. And it moved me so quickly from where I was to where I wanted to be that I sort of made it my mission to introduce people to this miracle called tapping.
So with tapping, what does it do to like the mindset? Because if someone's listening at the moment and they're thinking, what is this weird thing? You tap on your hands, you tap on your head. Why do you need to do that? Can you explain that?
Yeah, well, it's a form of somatic processing, which means it's giving the body a chance to process trapped feelings, energies, emotions that are actually being circulated through the nervous system via your brain, but moving through every cell in your body is holding on to this energy. And you know that, like when you feel scared, you're not scared just by a thought. You feel it in your stomach, you feel it in your heart. And the body remembers it. So the tapping actually triggers the body to be able to fast forward through that part of processing, the somatic, physical part of it. Neurologically, it goes in to wherever you're aiming your attention and starts to clean up neural networks, which is a way to say memory banks, files of information that are circulating certain habits, thoughts, beliefs, and patterns that you've accumulated through experience. So you're actually deconditioning the past from your brain. You're taking it out of your brain and giving yourself new options and then reprogramming your brain. So you're literally physically rewiring the circuits of your brain, which is really, really cool to know how to do that for yourself. And so when you're tapping, you're not just randomly tapping on different places, you're tapping on certain specific places in the meridian system. And the meridians are the electrical circuits of the body that the Chinese discovered about 5,000 years ago.
Wow.
Acupuncture about 2,000 years ago. And they're using needles to put a tiny piece of conductive material into the electrical circuit to get that spark to jump across. And what we're doing instead of using needles is we're gently percussively tapping on the same points you'd put a needle, and we're causing the energy to come back to life and to flow correctly there. So that brings electricity to the cells and the organs and the glands, the tissues, even to your vertebra and your teeth and your spinal column, for example. So you're psychologically noticing where the kind of corrupt files in your brain are. You're physically tapping and stimulating the electrical circuits. And then the spiritual aspect of it is that you're bringing unconditional love to meet those places. And when you do those 3 things at once, your healing process goes quantum. It leaps forward. So you can do in an hour what it might have taken you weeks, months, or years to do in a therapy office.
Wow. It's so interesting because you hear a lot of people who go to see psychologists or they find other techniques like writing to clear it. Whereas with EFT, what I personally found was, with Sonya, is that it eliminates whatever that situation is there and then, and it can take the number down from, I remember you saying, from a 10 to a 2. I remember that happening as well. And sorry.
Oh, I like it because it's instant gratification. I mean, who's got the time and the money to spend years and years sorting through the debris of their mind and heart? I mean, I've done a lot of therapy on myself and counseling, and I had a huge amount of respect for the people who hold space. I don't want to sound like I'm putting them down. But that's only part of the equation, is being able to talk about it and to understand yourself. What you need to do then is feel what you need to feel. Give yourself empathy, or receive empathy about the situation exactly from your own point of view. And as soon as you go towards something with love and empathy, that thing inside your head will release, which is why we're asking someone to listen to us, because we're asking for them to empathize. So we tell our friends, we tell our families, we tell our lovers, we tell therapists all about this crappy thing that happened, because we want their empathy. And you can actually learn to give yourself the empathy and save the money, wear and tear on your relationships, and drop in. Your brain doesn't care where the empathy comes from. It just needs the empathy. So if you can empathize with your own situation, which sometimes is the most difficult to do because we're so critical and so severe with ourselves, but if you can really give yourself permission to be like, I accept that I feel this way, and it's been really difficult, and I've been terrified, and I've been feeling lonely, and you can actually tap while you're admitting this to yourself, and then give yourself the same love you would give a friend or a child who's feeling that way. Your brain will relax, your body will relax, and you'll come back into your natural state of balance and peace.
I guess it's that whole kind of conditioning as well. So if you've been conditioned to think at such a young age, that's kind of what you become. And the self-criticism is that it's not actually you, it's what your parents have kind of feeded onto you, if that makes sense.
Your parents, your society, the people at school, teachers, institutions. Yeah, exactly. I mean, your limbic imprint, which is your earliest memories, they're laid in, from conception to age 6 to 10 years old. So a lot of people have never gone back to double check to see if that is the correct information that they want running their lives. Wow. It's assumed that it's correct because it's just what's been done. It's just what's done, and done in the society. You get a bunch of people agreeing with that this is disgraceful, and that is shameful, and that I shouldn't be this way, and you can't break this social mores. Then it's very hard to think outside of that if you're within it. And when you tap, you can actually give yourself permission to question that, and then to let go of dysfunctional beliefs and limiting feelings.
Wow. If only you could see my arms at this moment. I've already got goosebumps.
It's magic.
It's just unbelievable. Guys, I know it may sound really odd at the moment, but we are going to do some tapping later on. So, my dear, you're now an EFT expert. What kind of responses have you received?
I just got back from Burning Man, and I have been there for 14 years, teaching there for 8.
Wow.
And this year, 2,000 people showed up to my workshops in 5 days. And 200, 300, 400, 500 people at a time, and I taught them tapping, and built into my workshop an hour to stand and hug people afterwards, because so many people wanted to come up and express their gratitude because they just got a get out of jail free card during that workshop. They literally healed something that they've been struggling with their whole lives at a festival, and they were floored. So the response has been overwhelmingly positive. I launched something last year to deal with the response, because what happens is that people get introduced to it, and the next thing they say is, where can I get more of this? And will you come live in this community and stay here forever? Okay, how do I do this when everybody needs this? So I actually fundraised. There's actually a very wealthy family in England that backed this program to the tune of $250,000.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal. It's interesting that it came out of England, financially, primarily. And I created the World Tapping Circle so that people could do it online. They can have access to it 24 hours a day, because we all need it. And I actually lead a live broadcast every Monday, and it's recorded and uploaded into a video library. So anyone who wants to learn to tap or needs tapping can actually go in through a membership and tap as much as they want and heal themselves from home without the expense of, all the terrible expense of going to therapy and traveling to and fro on the highways. And so, the response has been huge and the support has been huge. And I'm super grateful.
Wow. Well, I know exactly how it feels. So without further ado, would it be possible to share some tapping regarding self-love?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Really, I did a broadcast last night, and it was really around self-love and self-care.
Oh,
it's such an important topic, and when we're stressed, we're not loving ourselves. We're usually very harsh on ourselves and demanding that we do better, and withholding love until we've sort of achieved something, and then we can sort of pat ourselves on the back for a moment and say, okay, good job, well done, and then, okay, enough of that, and self-love is the key to evolving yourself. It's not selfish. It's not egotistical. It's actually what you need to grow and learn and mature, just like a child. So if you think about it in terms of what a child needs to grow, what happens if you're constantly criticizing a child, constantly telling them they could have done better, or withholding praise or minimizing that praise? Are they going to thrive in that situation? No. They're going to give up. They're going to, their self-esteem will be affected. Their performance will be affected. And it doesn't work for adults either. So it's really crucial, especially for those of us that may have not been given the love or attention, even inadvertently, accidentally. Parents were too busy, raised by a nanny, sent off to boarding school, whatever it is, that you may have learned to sort of do without. And you see a lot of other people kind of doing without, but it doesn't mean that the need isn't there as a human. It just means that you lived without. And there's a painful moment of cracking open when this love comes in and it touches you deeply and you go, oh my gosh, I've been living in the desert and now I'm at the oasis and I never want to leave. So we're going to take you and the listeners into a space of deep compassion for yourself, for this young version of you that learned to do without. And I'm going to lead you through a tapping session. So this is exciting for me to get to lead your listeners.
Bless you.
And I will just call the points out and describe to you where they are, and you do the best you can.
Okay.
To just use your hands to tap gently, not harshly, gently on these points. And so it's kind of like square dancing. I'll call out, and you tap and respond with the words that I've said. So it's call and response.
Okay.
And if the words I'm using don't fit exactly your situation, then you edit them so that you're just being honest with you. And I'll kind of follow you back and forth. And hopefully our listeners will also edit the words to make it more precise for them. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Do we need to take our shoes off or anything, or is it?
You can keep your clothes on.
I meant shoes, my dear.
But if you want to take your shoes off and get more comfortable, that's ideal.
Okay.
Loosen your necktie out there. Relax. If you're listening to this, I don't know if people listen to this in their cars, but it's something that you could drum your fingers on the steering wheel, even if you need to keep both hands on the wheel, and stimulate those fingertip meridians just by drumming your fingers on the wheel. Would be an alternative way to do this, just to experiment. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you're going to take 2 or 3 fingers and you're going to press around on the front of your chest. So find your collarbones, your clavicles, and then drop down 2 or 3 inches. And you're going to come in from your shoulder. So you're pressing around in kind of your upper pectoral region. Ooh. You want to feel around in that fleshy part of your chest and see if you can find a tender spot, a spot that feels more sensitive than the surrounding tissue.
Ooh, I found a sore spot.
That's it. They call it the sore spot. So you're just going to massage that and take a few deep breaths. And what this does is it helps get your left and right hemispheres of your brain to connect, and it opens up your emotional body, which you actually need a good relationship with your emotional body, because it's the interface between who you are as a being, as a spirit, as a soul, and who you are psychologically and physically functioning. So you actually need to be friends with this part of yourself. So we're just opening that up and saying hello by pressing on the spot and giving yourself some deep cleansing breaths. So like a big noisy sigh will do. So just practicing open your mouth and be big sigh. Okay, because that's going to let trapped energy out of your body. And I'm just going to say before we really get into this that you might find yourself having some interesting physical sensations while we're doing this. You might not. It's not mandatory. But just in case you find yourself tingling across your body, feeling little pains rolling through and moving, you might feel a wave of emotion coming. You might feel sudden flashes of insight, awareness, memories popping up. Those are all normal, and including laughing, crying, yawning, feeling like the temperature just changed, either got really warm or really chilly. Those are all normal responses to tapping. It means your body's off-gassing correctly. Just let it happen. I promise we're not going to break you. Okay? And you just keep tapping and breathing. If it gets too emotionally intense, you're just going to give yourself 4 or 5 deep breaths in a row and it'll clear. Okay?
Okay.
So just go with it. Your body really knows how to do this given the opportunity, and all we're doing is giving it an opportunity. Okay. So back to those points on your chest. You got them there, Gerds?
I have indeed.
Okay. Pressing there, massaging in a little circular pattern, and giving yourself a couple of deep breaths. And as we do, I want you to tune into something that you're critical of yourself about, where you're withholding self-love. Maybe it's your weight. Maybe it's the way you look. Maybe it's the relationship you're having, or the way you behaved with someone recently that you feel bad about. Some place that you don't feel very proud of yourself, and that you feel kind of judgmental or critical. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm asking the listeners to do the same thing. So you're going to pick an issue. And, why not go for it? This could be, something that might really help. So pick something that feels less than wonderful to you about yourself. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so everyone's going to think about that issue. And as you're massaging, I want you to think about, how intense is that issue for you on a scale of 0 to 10? If you were to get honest about it, man, I really don't like that about me. That's 9.
I'm saying,
okay.
I would say 10.
Okay, she's firm 10. Good. You've picked a right issue then. Okay. And so I'm not going to ask you to tell the listening audience what it is, but we're just going to refer to it as this issue, okay? So everyone's going to get to think about what that issue is for them. So even though I have this issue, I'm open to loving and accepting myself.
I'm open to loving and accepting myself.
Good. Big, deep breath. Even though I have this issue, I'm open to loving and accepting myself.
I'm open to loving and accepting myself.
Big, deep breath. Okay, now you're going to take your fingers on one or both hands, and you're going to tap the beginning of your eyebrows, right where your eyebrows start. Tapping right on your eyebrow, at the very beginning of your eyebrow, close to the center of your forehead. This issue, think about what we're talking about now specifically, and tap there and breathe. Big, noisy sigh. Now slide down your eyebrows and tap the edge of your eye socket right there at the side of your temple. Tapping gently. Even though I feel. But what's a negative feeling that comes up for you about this issue? Does it make you sad? Does it make you disgusted? Does it make you angry? Does it make you embarrassed?
Upset.
Okay. Even though I feel upset about this. I'm open to loving and respecting myself. Good. And just gently tapping and breathing. Good. We're moving from the temples to the front of the cheekbones, and this point is sort of the apple of your cheek. If you went down from your pupils directly onto your cheeks, it would be where your fingers land.
Mm-hmm.
So you're tapping there, and this is actually a stomach meridian. So each of these points that we're tapping, bladder was at the eyebrow, gallbladder at the temple.
Oh, wow.
Cheekbones is a stomach meridian. So you're actually affecting the circuits that are affecting these organs and the things in between those organs. So let's repeat this. Even though I get upset when I think about this, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Tap under your nose, above your lips, in that little divot above your lips. Big breath. And this clears the energy that runs up the front of your face, down the back of your head, all the way down to your tailbone, down your spine. It's called the governing meridian in Chinese medicine. We're stimulating the governing meridian. Okay, repeat after me. I get upset when I think about this. Now we're going to tap under the lips on the chin and that little divot under your lips. Tune into the upset feeling. How intense is the upset around this issue from 0 to 10?
10.
Okay. I feel so upset. Let's say that 4 or 5 times so you can really get into that feeling. I feel so upset about this. Keep tapping and breathing, repeating that 4 or 5 times. Good. Big sigh. Yeah. You feeling something?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Spread your fingers out and tap around the top of your chest. You've got about 10 or 12 points there. And instead of trying to get precise, we're just going to go big. So we're just going to tap all across the chest, back and forth, up and down. The top of the chest, saying, this upset feeling. Say that 4 or 5 times. This upset feeling. Good. Tuning into that feeling and breathing and relaxing with compassion towards the part of you that's upset. Can you feel that feeling changing?
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's starting to feel like a loving feeling towards the situation, and it's almost going from a 10 to an 8 now.
Yes, exactly. And that feeling will start to fade and get a little harder to feel because it's actually healing, it's processing. It's been waiting for this attention, and we're finally giving it the attention. So now take your hands, and you're going to put them on the bottom of your rib cage. And I want you to feel the last couple of ribs there that jut out in front.
Mm-hmm.
And just tap right on the bottom of your rib cage on those ribs. It'd be straight down from the nipple line, so it's right in the front of your body. And just tapping gently on those points. These can be sore on some people. Can feel a little tender here, especially if you're used to repressing your emotions, especially anger. This is a liver gallbladder point, and people who internalize a lot of anger in order to be nice, polite, and respectful and not hurt people end up blocking this meridian and causing damage to themselves.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not saying you should just go lash out, but you do want to process it through your body so that you're not hurting yourself while you're trying to avoid hurting other people. Okay, so tapping on these points and just say, this upset feeling. I've been upset about this for so long. Big breath again. Think about how long you've been upset about this. When did this issue start? How old were you? What's your earliest memory? As you tap, I want you to think about that. So how old were you when this became an issue for you, birds?
21.
Okay. Now we're going to tap the side of the rib cage. So if you cross your arms, you would be in about the right place. If you folded your arms across, it would be, if you were wearing a brassiere, it would be where your bra strap goes across. So you guys at and listening can figure that out. Where's your bra strap, people?
And guys, if you don't have one, just find one.
Sure, you would figure it out. You don't have to go put a bra on, although, I do notice that men in England like to dress as ladies more often than you would suspect.
Really?
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. It's a fancy dress party.
Yeah,
Notice
that's true.
the next time you're there. We all want to dress like women. Okay, so tapping the side of the rib cage.
Yep.
Big breath. This upset feeling that I've had since I was 21.
This upset feeling that I've had since I was 21.
Big breath, big sigh, and I want you to think about what happened. Is there a moment that really sticks out where this really became obvious to you, sort of a pivotal example of what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So now I want you to tap the inside of your wrist. So looking down at your wrist, flip your hand over and tap straight across the inside of your wrist where there's that wristband, kind of the line where your watch would go. And you're going to tap on the bones at the bottom of your hand that connect your hand to the wrist. Big, deep breath and big sigh. Thinking about that moment when this was the most glaring, obvious example of this issue, where the pain really went deep. Big breath, tapping on that point. This is a heart point. Big breath, big sigh. I'm open to releasing the stress about this.
I'm open to releasing stress about this.
And the feelings of what? What were 2 or 3 other feelings involved? Was it fear? Was it shame? Was it blame?
Shame, broken, hurt.
Okay. Even though part of me felt ashamed, broken, and hurt.
Even though part of me felt ashamed, broken, and hurt.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Big, deep breath. Great. And I feel like you might have some emotions coming up. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, don't make me cry on the show. Okay. Now, as you're doing this, this is actually the time to let yourself feel. So if you want to say face and feel at the same time, which we all do, the trick is to breathe very deeply with a nice, relaxed, open mouth. So you're breathing in, and then a open, relaxed sigh. And that's really going to move the emotion without suppressing it and damaging yourself further, or lashing out on the next person that triggers you in this exact way. So this is why it's such a relationship saver to know how to do this. Okay? So now I would like you to say that again. Even though I felt ashamed, hurt, and broken.
Even though I felt ashamed, hurt, and broken.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Big breath again. Big noisy breath. Now, tap the edge of your thumb. So put your hand like you're going to karate chop something. And you look, which you're not. But look down at the top of your thumb, and you see where your thumbnail and your thumb come together there? Tap the edge of your thumbnail on the side of your thumb. I'm open to releasing the pain this caused me.
I'm open to releasing the pain that this has caused me.
Even though I've been hiding it from myself.
Even though I've been hiding it from myself.
I felt so ashamed and broken.
I felt so ashamed and broken.
Big breath. Tap the index finger. So same place on your index finger, the side of your fingernail. I've been withholding love from this part of myself.
I've been withholding love from this part of myself.
In an effort to forget and move on.
In an effort to forget and move on.
Big breath. Tap the middle finger. Same place in the middle finger. Edge of your middle fingernail. I'm allowing myself.
And I'm allowing myself.
To release the shame.
To release the shame.
This broken feeling.
This broken feeling.
And all the hurt I've been carrying about this.
And all the hurt that I've been I've forgotten what was the last bit.
I said carrying, but holding
Carrying.
on to, yeah.
Holding on to.
Big breath. Good. Let's say that again and allow yourself to feel. I know it's intense to be hosting a radio show and feeling so much at the same time. So, good on you for being brave. So let's tap that same finger and say it again. I'm open to releasing the hurt and shame.
I'm open to releasing the hurt and the shame.
And this broken feeling that went so deep.
And this broken feeling that went so deep.
Big breath. Good. So now you're going to tap the opposite side of the fourth finger. So that ring finger, it's the side of the finger that's closest to your little finger. And you're tapping the same place next to the fingernail. It's the only finger that shifts sides. Okay, and this is called the triple warmer. It actually it physically affects your physical thermostat, your temperature, as well as yourself and relationships to other people. Okay, so I'm allowing myself to have compassion for what happened. And who I was at the time. Big breath, sending yourself a wave of compassion for this young 21-year-old girl who thought she was so grown up. I don't know any really grown-up 21-year-olds, do you? No. We think we're going to be so old and mature by that time.
So true.
And we're really just kids,
We think we know so much about life as well at that time.
Yeah, and it's good that we do think that, or we would never, get out and do anything because we'd be too terrified.
Very true.
Right? But so this is where a lot of people's judgment comes in from that early transition from teenage to young adult. Like, okay, I'm supposed to have this all figured out now. And we're still figuring it out 10, 20 years later. So tap the bottom of your fourth finger, thinking back to the situation that we're talking about for you. And giving that young lady, that sweet young girl, some compassion for having to learn about life and love and the world in exactly the way she did that created this experience. Tapping, breathing, and sending her some compassion. Big, noisy breath. Good. Now tap back to the original side, which is the inner edge of your little finger, again at the side of your fingernail. I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even though I've been judging myself over this. And withholding love from my 21-year-old self. Tap the side of your hand, at the base of your hand. It's where you would karate chop a board if you were going to, that meaty part of the side of your hand.
Oh, yeah.
And just tapping there gently and breathing and thinking about this issue again. The same thing that you thought about at the beginning when I asked how intense this issue was. So think about it now and tell me how intense it feels as you tap.
4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've just dropped it from a 10 to a 4, which is more than half in 10 minutes or so.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. How long have you had this issue?
Since for about 7 years, 6-7 years.
Okay. So 10 minutes can erase 6 or 7 years of pain by 50%.
Wow.
Or less. 60%. Tap the top of your head. Let's see if we can do even better.
Okay.
Which we can, for sure.
Guys,
okay.
If you could just see me right now, I have tears down my eyes. I'm feeling a lot more relieved. So believe me, this does work. If I can show my emotions to you guys, trust me, you'll be able to do it in your own time as well.
Oh. Bless you for being courageous and vulnerable and real.
Bless you.
Tap the top of your head in a random pattern all over the top of your head and the sides of your head and the back of your head. And I want you to think back again about what happened and who you've been blaming. Even though I've been blaming.
Even though I've been blaming.
Good. And then who have you been blaming? You don't have to name names, but you could name like their relationship to you.
Myself and the situation.
Okay. I've been blaming myself and the situation.
Been blaming myself and the situation.
For 6 or 7 years.
For 6 to 7 years.
Big breath, big sigh. It's okay to release the blame.
It's okay to release the blame.
Big breath. All this blame.
All this blame.
Big deep breath again. I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Big deep breath. Good. Back to the eyebrow points again. Again, you can use 1 or 2 hands. If you're only using one hand, alternate and tap the other eyebrow. Okay? I'm releasing this blame.
I'm releasing this blame.
Even though I've been taught to hold on to blame indefinitely.
Even though I've been told to hold on to blame indefinitely.
Yeah. Big breath. And tap your temple. I'm allowing this to be easy.
I'm allowing this to be easy.
Tap the cheeks. I've suffered long enough over this.
I've suffered long enough over this.
Big deep breath, big sigh, letting that wave of feeling move through, acknowledging what you're feeling. Let's say it again. Big deep breath. I've suffered long enough over this.
I've suffered long enough over this.
Tap under the nose. These remaining feelings.
These remaining feelings.
Tune in and see what's still there regarding your issue.
Oh, wow. Like a 2 now.
Down to a 2.
Yeah.
I knew we could do better. You sound surprised.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Tap under your lips. I'm allowing myself to release these remaining issues.
I'm allowing myself to release these issues.
And all these remaining feelings.
And all these remaining feelings.
I deserve to love myself.
I deserve to love myself.
To honor myself for the struggle I went through.
To honor myself for the struggle that I went through.
And the lessons I learned the hard way.
And the lessons I learnt the hard way.
Tap your chest in a circle and breathe. I'm giving myself compassion.
I'm giving myself compassion.
For that difficult time.
For that difficult time.
And the fears and insecurities that were created as a result.
And the fears and insecurities that were created as a result.
I'm worthy of love.
I am worthy of love.
Yeah, and I'm worthy of peace here now.
And I'm worthy of peace here now.
So tuning in again and seeing how this issue feels. What number would you give it? Maybe it shifted, maybe it didn't.
Oh my God, it's gone.
Yay!
Wow. Guys, look, this is live. Oh wow, I don't know what to say. This just proves how tapping can work. That, you know, I just had this situation in my life, which I can't really go into depths about, which recently came up to the surface with somebody, and within 10 minutes it went from a 10 to it's just disappeared. Like, you can't get that through normal ways of psychotherapy or just talking it through,
or even drugs.
Yes.
Recreational or pharmaceutical, you know, it's just it comes from actually bringing the love to where the pain is. So I'm really proud of you, Gerds, for being willing to be vulnerable and real with your audience. And I actually have something really special to give the people who are maybe a little more curious now because of your example.
Bless you.
I've created a free month of healing for anyone who seriously wants to do this free in that I don't need your credit card. You will not get automatically billed the following month. It's literally a free month of healing for you to get curious and explore what's possible in the realms of tapping.
Wow.
So it's very easy to access. It's on my website, which is www.worldtappingcircle.com. Tapping is spelled with 2 P's, or it's taping, I've found out.
Taping?
Worldtappingcircle.com. And there's a button that says free month. And if you click the button and follow the emailed instructions, I will be sending you all this healing, and you will have access to as many hours of tapping as you can possibly stand for a month, and you can make miracles in your life. So if she can do this in 10 minutes, what could you do with applying this to yourself for a month?
Bless you, Sonya. No, that I really appreciate that. Guys, definitely this does work. I have been tapping for a while by myself personally, but with Sonya, she always knows how to get to the root cause and eliminates it. So seriously, you guys have heard how I have just been now. Definitely do check it out. We are coming, unfortunately, towards the end of the show, my dear. Before we do go, can you give any 5 top tips for someone who's currently kind of suffering with depression?
Yeah. Well, stop, drop, and tap is my first tip. Give yourself some time. Be patient. But seriously, this took me like back from the grave. Depression was a constant issue for me. It is healable. And it's okay if you're on medication right now. Tapping won't interfere with that. I mean, you can do tapping even when you're drunk. You might be someone who's like, I'm going to the pub, I'm so depressed. It's like, fine, tap while you drink, it will help. Give yourself some time to explore. There is hope, and you can cure it naturally. You might have to go down through the bottom layers of where it really started and face some difficult things, but I promise you that you'll get your life back, you'll get your heart back, you'll get your energy back, and you'll fall back in love with life.
Oh, bless you, my dear. Those are amazing. And also, what's your website address again?
My personal website is Sonya Sophia, SONYA.US, where you can find out all about me and tapping and watch free videos and audio. And then the World Tapping Circle, which is what I raised all that money for, is worldtappingcircle.com. So SonyaSophia.us, worldtappingcircle.com. They're both linked together. I really enjoy doing this with you, and thank you so much for the invite, Gerds.
No, bless you. Thank you. Is there any events that you're hosting soon?
I periodically come to London. I would love if you went to my website and put your name on my newsletter. I will email you when I come and do an event in London.
Sure.
So that's the SonyaSophia.us website. And yes, I'm actually doing an online training that if you want to learn about tapping and how your mind works and the neurology of it, go to my website and click the training button, and you'll find all that information. And I do host an annual full practitioner training. So if you really want to learn this and you want to heal yourself and learn to be a practitioner, I would love to train you.
Oh, amazing, Sonya. Thank you again so much for being on the show. I'm just proud to call you a friend, and everything and the information that you've given today, it's just so useful because you're a role model in self-healing, and I'm definitely going to have you back on the show again.
Thank you, Gerds. I would love to.
Bless you, my lovely. Well, you take care, and I will definitely speak to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oops. What an amazing interview with Sonya Sophia. Wow. You guys have heard me the most vulnerable that you will ever hear me on the show. This is just so powerful, guys. You really, really do need to check this out. EFT has not only just transformed Sonia's life around, it's transformed thousands of people's lives around. And if any of you guys know about Burning Man, you'll know exactly what I mean. Anyways, unfortunately, it is the end of the show. Just before I head off, don't forget that you can find me on Twitter at IamGurds, that's IamGurds. You can find me on Facebook at Get Inspired with Gerds, where we bring you lots of inspirational and motivational quotes and videos. And also, you can check out my book if you'd like. It's on Amazon called Educo, which is 52 quotes for leading a better life. And this week, I want to leave you with this quote. As soon as we discover the root cause of what's holding us back, that is the moment we can truly move forward. Take care, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.
Join us each week to be inspired, informed, and uplifted with some of the most inspirational and motivational guests from around the world. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay inspired.